Hey guys, Kid here, and today we're going to do a little segment I want to call Right or Wrong. And that's where we look at something in the Hollywood news realm and we kind of talk about it, give a little bit of information, and then we decide for ourselves who's right, who's wrong, what's really going on. So today what I want to talk about is I woke up this morning and one of the first things on the news that was everywhere was Amy Schumer criticizes movie critic. I mean, it was pretty much everywhere. As a matter of fact, the one I have up right here, the title is Amy Schumer calls out sexist tweet from teen film critic. Now, all this stuff here is literally just tons of articles from a variety of different magazines, including Variety, sitting here talking about how Amy Schumer went after this teenager movie critic. Now, before we dissect anything at all, before we even really jump into any of it, I kind of want to start right back at the beginning because as I started researching this and I started reading about everything that was going on, one of the things that I realized was that I'm not so sure she's, calling it sexist. It seems like it's really just the media spin on it. So, I wanted to research a little bit because, obviously when I first heard about this, my first thought was, why would you attack a 17-year-old who doesn't have, the career that you have when you're such a big, powerful force to be reckoned with in the comedy world? It kind of aggravated me because, I understand celebrities fighting with each other. I understand, when somebody who has a big following, kind of attacks somebody. I get it. However, one of the things I really don't like is when somebody who is in a position of power in Hollywood, somebody who has pull, who has a career, goes after somebody who doesn't. Because sometimes it can completely and totally eliminate that person's career. So I started researching it, and one of the first things I want to say is they have a following. This film critic is this 17-year-old. He won an Emmy apparently when he was 12 years old. He did radio. He's a movie critic. So he's well known. He's not some unknown guy with no following. However, still a kid. He's only 17 years old. So, that's a real thing. Now, when I look at the whole thing in general, I want to start with his tweet because, first of all, I think a lot of people that I've talked to about this today, their first response was, well, what was the tweet? Which I believe has since been removed. However, the actual tweet was, spent the night with Amy Schumer. Certainly not the first guy to write that. So that's the tweet. All right. Now, Amy's response, okay, she's obviously, a little, irked by it, but she doesn't call him sexist. She's not, running down his throat. She's not really being mean at all. So that's the first thing. Her response was, obviously, she tags him at LCJ Reviews, at John Daly. I get it, because I'm a whore, ? Glad I took a photo with you. Hi to your dad. Obviously littered with sarcasm, glad I took a photo with you. Say hi to your dad. But she doesn't say he's sexist. She doesn't pick a fight with him even. She just says that. And then later, the kid goes back to Twitter and he apologizes. Right? So he comes back and he says, I truly apologize for the tweet I posted earlier. I'm not a comedian, and it wasn't funny, at Amy Schumer. Well, first of all, lights, camera, Jackson. That was funny. That was a good joke. I mean, she's a comedian. She should be able to take it. So, getting that out of the way, dude, that was a good joke. However, you aren't a comedian. You're a movie reviewer. So, we're going to get into that in just a second. So, he says that he truly apologizes. And then Amy responds with, that's really okay, honey. I just remember thinking you and your dad were sweet, and it was a bummer to read that. Okay, this is literally just an interaction of two people, and the media took it in a completely different direction. I guess the biggest thing with that with most people that know me is I'm not the biggest Amy Schumer fan. I'm just not. There's been a couple different reasons why over the years that she's really kind of got on my bad side. However, I don't know her, and I will say that she does great things for female comedy. She's doing a lot for females in Hollywood, and she is a feminist. She's proudly spoken about that. No problem with that whatsoever. Be a feminist. Do your thing. But I feel like that's why the media put this huge sexist spin on this, is because you're a feminist, Amy. Because if you weren't, I don't think they would have. However, I feel like maybe later on today or something, she might come out, she might address the situation and be like, dude, you're blowing it out of proportion. She might not address the situation at all. That's completely up to her. But that was those interactions. That's all the tweets. That's it. That's all the interactions between it. But now it's all over the news. It's everywhere. So I guess first of all, what I want to talk about is the fact that you know, she's obviously not happy with the fact that he came out and he said these things about her. She's obviously not happy about the fact that she just met him the day before. This is still, like I said, it's just an interaction between two people. There's no hatefulness here. There's no getting at each other. But I still stand by my first thing. Come out and say something, like tell people, like, hey, it's not a big deal. It's mainly your fans going after him than you at this point. But I do want to say this. You're a comedian. That's what you do for a living. Why would you care? Who cares if somebody says something to you about, that might even, say that you're a whore? And the only reason I'm saying this, I'm not saying, oh, just go out and call ladies whores. It's funny, ha ha. What I'm saying is Amy Schumer makes jokes about being a whore. That's kind of like been one of her things. And even like, I'm sure everyone has seen the thing where she attacks the journalist because he called her character in Trainwreck skanky. That's an opinion that the guy had. I still to this day don't think she should have got that pissed off at him for saying it. However, like, you are promoting your film. You don't see your character as skanky. You see this film as a comedy that's going to do good things for women. So yeah, you don't want people putting a negative spin on it. However, like, you are famous. You make millions of dollars. You're worth millions of dollars. You live a life that none of us get to live, and most of us never will get to live. We'll live in a studio apartment. And whenever you are, you're going to take criticism. You can't Tom Cruise the situation and start getting all upset and start jumping around and getting all pissy because you're famous. People are going to talk about you. You're getting paid millions of dollars to deal with it. Just deal with it. However, I believe it was just this past summer that a certain person by the name of Amy Schumer was in some controversy for making edgy jokes, racist jokes. Obviously, she came out and she, put out a statement about that, which if I can find it, I'll read it for you. Hold on one second. Okay. I found it right here. So, in response to all the, criticism she got for being racist, which she's not. I don't think Amy Schumer's racist. I think she's a comedian. She makes jokes. That's what she does for a living. She responded with this. I am a comic. I am so glad more people are laughing at me and with me all of a sudden. I will joke about things you like, and I will joke about things you aren't comfortable with. And that's okay. Is it? I mean, is it okay? Because, if you get upset about things like that, then I'm just saying. She goes on to say, stick with me and trust I am joking. I go in and out of playing an irreverent idiot. That includes making dumb jokes involving race. I enjoy playing the girl who time to time says the dumbest thing possible, and playing with race is a thing we are not supposed to do, which makes it so fun for comics. You can call it a blind spot for racism or lazy, but you are wrong. It's a joke, and it is funny. I know that because people laugh at it, even if you personally did not. I laughed at his joke. When I read that, I was... at first I didn't even know what he had said, and then whenever I looked up his tweet and I read it, I genuinely laughed out loud. I was like, huh. And I did not think in my head, fuck women, fuck feminist. I didn't think any of that. It was just a joke that if you would have made it about, any other female who has openly joked about her sexual life, I would have laughed at it too. If you would have made the joke about Kim Kardashian, I would have laughed at it. If you would have made it about, any of the other girls who have been in the media with multiple men, throughout the years, okay, it's funny because they live a spotlight life. And they certainly aren't the first person to write about it. But, okay, so it made you mad. That's okay. She goes on to say, I am not going to start joking about safe material. And don't ask that of me. I love what I do, and I won't let anyone take that away. I ask you to resist the urge to pick me apart. Resisting that urge. Follow your own words. Trust me, I am not racist. I am a devout feminist and lover of all people. My fight is for all people to be treated equally. So move on to the next person who is more deserving of your scrutiny and not the girl in your corner. Sincerely, Amy, a dirty half Jew. So you even sign off on it like a dirty half Jew. Dude, you attack yourself all the time. So here's my thing. Okay, I understand, like, this person has a following too. I understand that, like, you're bigger than them, and I understand the whole feminist thing, that they're putting a spin on it isn't you. I understand that. You didn't say they were being sexist or feminist. However, it is still a 17-year-old kid. He's a kid. I remember whenever I was a kid, I did stupid stuff like all the time, constantly, because I was a kid. I can currently recall a time whenever I was at a retail store. I was about 15 years old, and the guy working there was probably in his mid-20s. And I was giving him a bunch of shit because I was a dickhead, because I was a 15-year-old snot-nosed kid, because everybody goes through that rebellious phase where they think they're cooler than everybody. Like, I'm pretty sure most kids go through it. The ones that don't are pretty cool kids, or maybe weird shut-ins. However, I think every kid goes through the adolescent phase of rebellion. So I'm sitting there and I'm messing with this dude pretty hardcore. And I remember we went upstairs to a different store and we were talking to this girl and we brought him up. And apparently he was dating the girl upstairs. So, like, these two retail stores, people found love in them all, and which was awesome. However, the next day we went back to the store, and the guy was like, I can't believe you'd say that stuff about me, man. Like, I can't, bothers me, man. It really bugs me. And even as a 15-year-old kid, I remember I looked at the guy and I was like, I'm 15. Like, what the hell do you care what I think? Like, you're never going to see me again. And he didn't, because I was only in town for a couple days. I was, like, visiting. So I'm just saying, like, it's a kid. Who cares what they think? He's a film critic. He's not a people critic. He's not a comedian. He's not, really even a comedian critic. He doesn't, critique stand-up comedy. So, like, who cares what he thinks? Leave it alone. However, like I said before, it was just an interaction between, like, hey, she saw this guy last night. Like, they met in person, right? So it's not just hacking some anonymous person on Twitter. She sees this guy last night. She's shaking his hand. They're smiling. They're friendly. And then he takes a shot at her on Twitter. That's, in my opinion, what this is really about. It's not about sexism. It's not about her pulling a feminist rank over him, because she hasn't really spoken out about it yet, just in her tweets to him. And, I'm sure other things are going to pop up by the time I post this video. So, the story will develop. But the point of right and wrong is for you to decide for yourself who's right and who's wrong. And so in this situation, I personally, because like I said, it's like if I met somebody the night before and I was talking to him and everything was cool, and then, we're smiles and, shaking hands and kissing babies, and then I go home and I'm on Twitter, which she actively is, and I see that person that I was just buddy-buddy with me last night takes a shot at me, yeah, I'm going to take a shot back probably. Or I'm going to at least be like, nah. I mean, I think honestly, as much as I'm not a huge Amy Schumer fan, I think she actually handled it well. I mean, her response was sarcasm. Cool, glad I took a picture with you. Have a good one. Like, she wasn't being a dick about it. So kudos to her on that. But what really matters is, like, what you guys think. Let's also focus on the fact that, Amy, you're not the cleanest with jokes. And you don't really think about what the person's going to think or feel after you make the joke. You're a comedian. You're not supposed to feel that way. You're not supposed to think that way. That's okay. But when you make jokes like, I have 2 superpowers, 1, I have no gag reflex, and 2, I can fly. Funny joke. I laughed when I heard it, but the number 1 is that you have no gag reflex. You make jokes about being, I'm not going to say a whore. I'm going to say you make jokes about your sexual life. You make jokes about your sexual adventures. So if somebody wants to make another joke about your sexual adventures, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But like I said, this kid, he's not some unknown. He has a following. He's a film critic. He criticizes other people. So guess what? You just got criticized, buddy. And it was by Amy Schumer. So you don't really want that because she's got like a lot of fans and a lot of following. So you should probably stay on her good side. Plus, if you meet someone the night before, like, why would you take a weird shot at them? It's kind of like when you look at the comedy, like I said, funny joke. But what's the point? What was your point, man? If you planned on meeting her again and you had a good time with her, then why make the joke? Now, he does say later on that he thought she would think it was funny, and maybe he genuinely did. But she didn't think it was funny. So, sorry, buddy. So, what do you guys think? Who's right and who's wrong in this situation? Let us know in the comment section below. And also, why don't we have some requests, for right and wrong in the future? If there's something that maybe you would like to talk about, tell me. Let's bring it up. I think in the next one, we're going to talk about this whole Oscar fiasco that's happening out there. Aunt Viv came out and said some things. It was crazy. It was awesome. I don't know. We're going to talk about that in the next one. So leave everything in the comment section below. And until next time, tune in, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.